Shalom, Call Halaim La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushua, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule and teach well over the hopeful elect. Shalom to the brothers of the house of David, the hopeful elect that's tuning in and pushing this truth without truth and sincerity. And this video is gonna be going into how Saudi Arabia has officially launched Operation Sandman, and here's an article that's going into it. But before we go into the article that explains Operation Sandman, we're going to go into the petrodollar, which is, of course, connected to Operation Sandman. Now, I'm going to run down this article real quick. Just get the main point. All right, title right here. What is the petrodollar? Petrodollars are the form of currency that is paid globally for oil. The petrodollar system is essentially the global practice of exchanging oil for US dollars rather than any other currency. This means that no matter what country is buying the oil, they pay the oil producing country in petrodollars, which are denominated in the US dollars. The answer to what is the petrodollar has changed over the years, as the petrodollar system originally only applied to Middle Eastern countries and members of organization of the petroleum exporting countries OPEC. What has been broadened over the years, petrol currency is the main source of revenue for these countries. So pretty much, Esau went up to those Saudi Arabian princes and kings, was like, "Hey, we got the strongest navy in the planet Earth. Protect your country, your kingdom. In exchange, you sell your oil in our currency." And then that's how the U.S. started dominating the whole earth financially. And the U.S. dollar is not backed by anything but the military. And of course, through prophecy, we know that all the nations on the planet Earth that bend the bow is going to turn on Babylon the Great. And that bow is talking about the nuclear missiles being shot out of their silos, whether it be Russia's Poseidon nuclear missiles. All right, they got nuclear powered submarines that shoot Poseidon nukes, and all these other type of ways they're gonna launch their nuclear weaponry over here in Babylon the Great. All right, so history of the petrodollar system. Now I'm gonna skim through this. Actually, no, I'm gonna read the whole thing. The term gold standard didn't come out of thin air. The global economy used to run on a system in which each country's currency was linked to the value of gold, because gold is real money. All right, land, cattle, that's real. That's real wealth. That's wealth. All right, paper, pretty much the U.S. dollar or any currency that's not backed by gold or being, that's is worthless. Okay, but the Esau in his pride, he was confident in his military might. All right, like the blessings that was given to him. All right, by Isaac, which is Yahweh Shah in the reincarnation, if you can receive it. There was a fixed price for gold at which each country bought and sold that commodity, so there wouldn't be no type of inflation or devaluation, all right, with a fixed price. The gold standard was abandoned in 1971, that when the Nixon administration ended the practice. I believe Nixon said that was going to screw everything up, I believe, or one of the presidents said it was going to screw everything up. And the value of the US dollar went into free fall as inflation soared. That's right. You could have gone about even if you're a Jake, man, all right, even if you was a Jake, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American in the 60s, the 50s, or the 70s, around that period, even the 80s, you could have went straight out of high school. If you wanted to go to college, college was super cheap. You could have just worked a part-time job in the summertime for a year or two and pay your way through college, okay? Or you could just go straight out of high school, hell, work fucking minimum wage, okay, and be able to survive on your own. And if you got double minimum wage, which would be like what, 15 an hour now, or even just a little, even a little bit more than minimum wage back then, because minimum wage was like, let me just look it up on my phone real quick. What minimum wage was in, let's say, the 60s. All right, I'm gonna tell you. What was minimum wage in 1960? Minimum wage in 1960 was $1 an hour, and then it increased to $1.15, and then it increased to $1.15 in 1961. Then it increased to $1.25 in 1963. Now let's look up how much was rent in 1960. How much was rent in 1960? Rent was $71. Okay, so you work 8 hours a week with minimum wage, all right, which was $1. That's $40. That's $40 a week times four. That's $160. Of course, factor in the tax. Okay, you still had enough to clear your rent, plus have extra left over with minimum wage. Okay, you can't do that now, man, unless you're in the boonies or some madness like that. All right, so that just shows you how much the inflation has destroyed the U.S. Now let's get back to this article. In 1973, the petrodollar system was created through a deal between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. Now, here's the main point right here. The countries agreed to price and trade oil in U.S. dollars, with oil standardized in terms of dollars. Any country that purchased oil from Saudi Arabia would have to use dollars. This led many other oil producing countries to also standardize oil prices in U.S. dollars, and the petrodollar system was born. Okay, and the petrodollar greatly benefited the U.S. dollar because it uh, inflated its it um, it inflated its value. So the opposite of devaluation. It didn't get devalued. Okay. Now here's the benefits of petrocurrency. The petrodollar system gave the US dollar elevated status as the dominant currency in the global economy. This has many benefits for the US, including consistent trade deficits and source of liquidity, inflow of foreign capital through petrodollar recycling, ability to finance debt deficit with low interest rate assets, and the US just hit its debt limit again for the 81st or the 80th time. Decisive influence over global economic markets. That's right. The US has been the global reserve, the global reserve currency. But now that's ending officially. Now let's get to the main meat. And before I get that, let's hit up about this debt. Let's get that. I think it's Habakkuk chapter 4. Actually, Habakkuk chapter 2. There is no 4. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And you go into that word, the Hebrew word for clay right there, is going into debt. Let's get it. All right. Weight of pledges, heavy debt. The U.S. kept hitting its debt limit consistently for the past, 80 or 81 times? It's not a good look. Because you Edomites, let's get John 10 and 10. John 10 and 10. The thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. And I come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. Because you Edomites, all you know is rape, rob, murder. That's all you Edomites know how to do, man, and lie. Okay. You see, when you had these so-called Christians go out through the planet of Earth, what did they do, man? They raped, robbed, and murdered in the name of Caesar Borgia, man. Jesus Christ, man, so called. His true name is Yahweh Shai, and he's not a leprous Edomite. Okay, now let's get back to this article. Operation Sandman now activated. Saudi Arabia announces end of dollar dominance in global oil trade. So the whole world. All right. The dominoes begin to fall on the U.S. empire. Okay. As we have consistently warned for more than a year, Operation Sandman has now been activated, with Saudi Minister of Finance Muhammad al Jadaan telling Bloomberg TV, okay, that the Saudis will gladly accept all currencies for settling oil transactions. Babylon the Great's out the door. Um, I'm just skimming through it, okay? Very few Americans have any clue what this means to their assets and their future. That's right. Nah. The majority of these Americans, start mainly these Edomites in America, they see, trust me, they see what's coming. They don't know the specifics, but they know Babylon the Great's out the door. A lot of them, man. A lot of them. They just staying low key, through the spirit. Some of these they could be Jake Specklebirds, but they be the Most High had a spirit on some of these people to tell me things, about the end of this world. Let's keep going. Also, very few people realize that over 100 nations are prepared to renounce the petrodollar. And I seen videos somewhere in Asia. It was definitely somewhere in Asia. They were burning U.S. dollars as the dominant currency for oil settlements. Instead, many nations are going to switch to using the yuan, China, or the digital yuan, or the new BRICS plus commodities-backed reserve currency that's about to be launched by communist China, Russia, India, and other participating nations. BRICS was a Salaki on my other video. I said Iran. It's India. BRICS is the B is Brazil, the R is Russia, the I is India, the C is China, and the S is South Africa. The dominance has been set into motion, and as this plays out, it means dollars will come flooding back into United States as world nations dump the greenback fiat currency that they no longer need. This means dollars will experience rapid devaluation and their purchasing power, which will be reflected in higher prices, i.e., inflation, which is going to 100% be hyperinflation unless Esau pulls the plug before it gets to that point. But through the scriptures, we know that it will be hyperinflation. And consumer goods such as groceries, automobiles, and more. Although this will take time to be fully realized, it also means that those people left holding dollars will be financially ruined as dollar purchasing power evaporates. The government response to all this is almost certain to include a new wave of mindless money printing, adding yet more dollar inventory to the flood of dollars being dumped by nations of the world. The end game is, of course, hyperinflation as the dollar loses not just 2% of its purchasing power per month, but may even slide into losing 10, 20, or even more, all right, 10, 20% per month in the final blowout stage. All right, think Weimar Germany as the end game here, and I believe Weimar Germany was after World War II or around the World War II period. Okay, and then you have the small hats run up in Germany, and that's where you get the whole, the Holocaust and all that. All right. So yeah, Babylon the Great is 100% no turning back, out the door, man, out the door. Even these proud Edomites know Babylon the Great's out the door. You see, I seen this post of this. He looks like a straight up bozo, man. Like you could just look at his countenance, his face, his composure. He's a bozo, all right, a proud bozo, and that's what you Edomites are. All right. So he was saying, oh, even if the U.S. currency collapsed, we got the strongest military in the world. I don't believe, in my opinion, pretty much, he said, in his opinion, he doesn't believe Russia has capable ICBMs. The U.S. is the only country with capable ICBMs and this, that, and the third. We got this, we got that, he's a bozo, man. The U.S. will get jumped. Let's get it. I think it's what? Jeremiah 47, or not Jeremiah, I believe it's Isaiah 47. The U.S. will be jumped. Isaiah 47:8. Therefore, hear now this, that thou art given to pleasures that dwellest carelessly. Thou sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else besides me. All right. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. they shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thy enchantments. And it's talking about the daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great. Let's prove that. Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sin at dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Why is it Babylon the Great called a virgin? Because it's never been invaded or attacked as once it was established. Now you had the Civil War. You had before the U.S. is fully established. They fought the French in Canada, but when the U.S. was fully established, it's never been attacked. It's never been a war. That's why it's called the virgin daughter of Babylon, because the Americas will be invaded and will be nuked. All right. This is biblical prophecy. Let's get Jeremiah. Actually, before we get that, go to Proverbs. It's Proverbs 18 and 12. Before destruction, the heart of men is haughty, and before honor is humility. And haughtiness is just being proud, being prideful. All right, humility is being humble. So you Edomites are extremely proud, man. You Edomites here in Babylon the Great, or your pride is off the charts, completely off the charts, man. Let's get Psalms 7th chapter. You see what's coming down the pipe? It's gonna be more inflation, and it's gonna be hyperinflation. All right, it's Esau is doing a slow burn to this collapse. Which is the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai that's making Esau cause this collapse to be systematic. All right, it will be it will be not one but multiple black swan events before the full blown collapse. And by full blown collapse, I mean the grocery stores are no more. Society as a whole is no more. No more stopping at red lights. Okay, no more firefighters. No more police. So on and so forth. Before that happens, quote unquote, the apocalypse, quote unquote, right? Before that happens, it's gonna be dystopian. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be inflation. You see what I'm saying? This is Psalms the 7th chapter, in from the top, verse 1. Shiggaion of David, which he sang unto Yahweh concerning the words of Cush the Benjamite. O Yahweh, my power, and in thee do I put my trust. Save me from all them that persecute me and deliver me. Okay, and that ultimate deliverance will be in Babylon Great. Let's scroll down. Verse 9. Oh, let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just, for the righteous power trieth the hearts and reigns. Let's get that word reigns. All right. Of emotion and affection. Okay. The mind. And guess what? They through what do you call it? Anatomy or whatever. Your heart and your stomach um gives off signals. It has the same neurons as your brain. Your brain, your heart, and your stomach. You know how you say you got that gut feeling or you feel something in your heart? Because you literally do. Because you have the same neurons as in your brain. Your brain, your heart, and your gut are connected on a quote unquote, what is it, a consciousness level. And that's why the scriptures talks about the heart. And when you go into the word heart, it talks about your mind, because your heart and your mind are connected, man. Let's get it. See, Genesis 6 and 5. And the Most High saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of thoughts of his heart was only evil continually, because your heart, your mind, your gut are connected, man. Let's get in the Strongs for the word heart. All right. Inner man, mind, will, heart, understanding, mind, knowledge, thinking, reflection, memory. You have memories in your heart, man. You see? You see? Let's go no work. Egypt. right, Salaki, give me a moment. All right, Isaiah the 19th chapter. This is Isaiah 19 and Isaiah 19 and 15. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt which the head or tail, branch or bush may do. And the head is talking about the top, and the tail is talking about the bottom. So from the lowest Jake to the top tier Edomite, there's not going to be any work. And Bank of America listed it's going to be 175,000 jobs being taken away every month. You had Amazon fire, what was it, like 10% or some madness like that of their workers. And I just seen somebody else, what was it? I can't remember what it was. I think it was Apple or something like that, or Tesla that fired a decent amount of their workers too. Why? Why is this happening? The judgment of the Most High, man. The system is collapsing. And this 2023 is going to be 100% worse than 2022. This inflation is going to hit like a train wreck, man. It already is. But now with this devaluation of the US dollar, all right, money is going to flood back into the US. And that means, and the US is an import country. So what does that mean? The price of everything in the US is going to increase because the US imports things. It doesn't export, because devaluation doesn't directly lead to inflation if you're mainly export, but the U.S. is mainly import. So it's going to lead to 100% going to lead to hyperinflation, and that's why you had the WEF World Economic Forum talk about a massive black swan cyber attack in the next 2 years. Because why? In these next 2 years, Babylon the Great will see hyperinflation. Is going to be hyperinflation very soon. Okay, the U.S. currency is going down the drain. It's not going to be like, oh, it's going to take 10 years. No, it's starting now, man. Operation Sandman just launched. It's starting now. And you know what Esau's going to do? He's going to revert to that sword. Esau going to do something through the spirit. I believe it will be something dealing with his blessing. It's going to make NATO mad and the UN mad. The beast shall hate the whore. Was I think Revelation 17. Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, which is NATO and the UN, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So NATO, pretty much all the nations on the planet Earth, okay, are gonna volley their nukes on Babylon the Great. It's no coming back, man. For Esau and the rest of these heathens. Let's get Daniel chapter 2. Or I believe it's Daniel chapter 4. I believe it's Daniel chapter 2. Yeah. Daniel chapter 2. I'm going to end this off right here. Daniel chapter 2. And you see the secret is revealed to Daniel because the Most High dealt with Daniel more than the majority of Israelites. Now you had Babylon, the first kingdom, Medio Persia and Greece, second and third kingdoms, and then Rome being the last. And the last leg, the head that had his deadly wound healed, is Babylon the Great, which is the Renaissance period, was the rebirth of the Roman Empire. All right, and this is where we at right now. We're at here, and then the kingdom of heaven is next. And this is a cut to Christianity because, as we see right here, this is not the Most High's kingdom. Okay, I'm gonna end that off right there. Actually, no. Let me read. Let me read a little bit. This is Daniel chapter 2 and verse 43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So you Edomites are divided. All right, you're divided and you're weak. Verse 42. And as the toes of the feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Verse 44. In the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other peoples, because it's only for the Israelites. But it shall be break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Wait a minute, break in pieces, man. Let's get Revelation chapter 2. I was gonna end it off, but just flowing. This is Revelation chapter 2. It said break in pieces, right? Revelation chapter 2 and verse 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. He shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of potter shall they be broken into shivers, even as I received of my Father. So guess what? You nations are going to slavery. And wait a minute, one more before I get into that. That's another cut, because Esau will be exterminated in the kingdom of heaven. So you Edomites are still here, Obadiah 1 and 21, and Savior shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So that's a cut right there. I'm going to end that off right there. Lord's willing, Auto One Ratazah, that was edifying. Shalom.